Welcome back. I'm Anastasia, and my mission is to build a community of acceptance and authenticity. I needed some adventure buddies for this journey of insight, and I'm glad it's you. You are all welcome here, and I'm grateful that you decided to join me. And today we get to hear from Sophia McGovern, founder and main editor of Little Somethings Press, and a mother creator in many different ways. Sophia talks about her journey into motherhood, deciding to forge her own path, and how she has joined creativity and motherhood together to form a powerful community and bond between other mother creators. You can find Sophia on Instagram at Little Somethings Press or find out more at littlesomethingpress.com. I'm excited for you to listen. So let's get started and see if we can build some insight today. Welcome, Sophia. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk with you today.
Oh, I'm excited too. And I can't wait to hear about everything that you've been up to. So let's start by maybe you can tell us a little bit about who you are, your passions, anything that you want the audience to know.
Yeah, so my name is Sophia McGovern, and I have kind of a new part of my identity, which is that I am a mother writer. I am a creative nonfiction and poet writer. And now, alongside motherhood, I get to really dive into my craft and see where this new life, this new being, takes me along that journey. And alongside that, I'm also an editor. So I run Little Somethings Press, which is a local to Tempe press, and we hand make every single book in community settings, which has been a lot of fun. I think we've probably made about 1,000 books by hand over the past 7 years, published about 200 contributors from all over the world. Yeah,
Okay.
and a bunch
Yeah.
of things. So,
How many copies of each book do you make typically?
yeah, so the first run is about 100, and that includes the contributor copies as well. And then we do reprints. It's usually between like I don't know, like 5 to 10 at a time. And I wish I was a super type A organized person, but I'm guessing that it's about 1,000 by now. So
Okay.
the rough estimate, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you said your print is Little Somethings Press.
Mhm.
How did that come to be? That idea?
Yeah, so I have been working in independent publishing in the Phoenix community for about 10 years or so. I started off as an editor with Reconnect Press, and then I was also in the Cartoonera Collective from Cardboard House Press, which is a bilingual press. They're super awesome. And through those guys, I pretty much learned how to run a press through Ricky Dink. I learned, about the importance of your image and your goal and kind of, but most importantly, this idea that you could make a platform for writers and that these writers could be published for the first time or they could be, stalwarts within their community or they could have like 10 to 15 books and be really cool, with all those awesome publications.
Yeah.
And then through the collective, I learned actually how to make those books by hand and how powerful it was to be a community member to create books with cardboard,
Yeah.
right? Because you see the magic of cardboard scraps, paper scraps, and these words finally becoming books. And there's just something so powerful in that.
Mm.
And so with Little Somethings, I wanted to create a space for creative writing that's small, right? Little somethings that could all fit on one page. And then to have that community aspect as well. With my editor experience, that's kind of where that came from. And I was kind of crazy and started it in the midst of a graduate program. And when I was
Impressive.
starting, thank you. I really needed a creative output because I was in my Master of Ed and I was starting full time teaching
Yeah.
as well. So it was a way to kind of ground me and have that output while also bringing people together. And that was really exciting. And then, of course, COVID hit the next year.
Of
And
course, of course.
of course. And we actually didn't go on hiatus. We took everything virtual, just like we did, all of us teachers did in the classroom. And so then Little Somethings became kind of this testament to the creative process around the world and how important art still was, even
Yeah.
though these spaces were shut down.
Mhm.
So that was really amazing. And recently, well, recently to me, time is a weird kind of funk right now. But in 22, 23, we actually received funding from the city of Tempe.
Oh.
Yeah, so they would help with printing. And then also, we actually got the opportunity to pay not only our editors for their work, but the contributors as well. So our goal was to return to Tempe, to pay our contributors, and really have an impact on the Tempe community. So we moved our bookmaking workshops into the Tempe Public Library. We got plugged into that whole scene, which their programming director is just absolutely fantastic. And we've kind of had a little home within that Tempe space
Mm.
for a few years now.
Okay.
So
I can feel the underlying, not just the work that went in, but the magic of building that community. The fact that the city of Tempe was like, they see something in this and they want to support you in it too. And I don't know, I feel like there's a quote and I'm going to butcher it because I can't remember it, but it's basically talking about how if all you do is consume art, like eventually your soul might not feel as filled versus if you create art and share art with the world, it fills you up and it is this magical experience. And not only are you creating, but you are creating access for everybody else who wants to create.
I love that idea. I and I think, I'm very lucky. I have, grown up in a family that, of course, consumes art, and we really honor it,
Mhm.
but that has always been a given. It's like if you have something you're going through, words I know I'm a writer, but words may not, be the ticket, right? We may not be able to find exactly how to capture it, but maybe the page is a place, maybe a canvas, maybe our body through dance, right? Just some sort of aspect that helps us kind of transcend whatever we're going through. So it's been an essential value, I think. And the city of Tempe, as you said, has been extremely supportive. And they even kind of helped when I have met with them to build the budget and do all of the things that maybe artists aren't so good at. So I think it's important to recognize that doing creative programming takes not just like the creative kind of impulse, but also the people that have like the logic side and are able
Yeah.
to herd cats um,
Mhm.
through through all of this kind of process. So it's been a journey, and recently we have come back because in 2024 we kind of went on a hiatus because I was pregnant, and I didn't really think that Little Somethings would ever happen again. I thought it was going to be over. Like a lot of pregnant people, you have this life growing inside of you, and the expectations of what's going to come are so great from yourself, right? The kind of like mother or parent you want to be, and then also what the world is telling you is important.
Mhm.
And in our culture, like art is not necessarily, the priority.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, there was a lot of fear when I first became pregnant with like how that would mesh with my creative identity.
Yeah.
And it's kind of silly looking back on it, but in the moment it was so scary
Yeah.
because yeah, I mean, I was just convinced, right? I would never pick up a pen again. Who has time, right? Who has time
Like
to
you were
even do these
basically
things?
giving up that entire part of your identity to add this other identity into your life.
Yeah, and that's like kind of what's expected, right? People don't want to hear moms complain about how they don't have time or they're tired, even though no mom has any time and every mom is tired. So,
Yes.
um, So yeah, that was a huge aspect. But then I started listening to the my community around me. And I actually was almost reintroduced to so many fantastic artists and writers that I know who are parents.
Okay.
And yeah, like they kind of became a guiding light, which was so exciting. And there was actually a podcast I listened to called Artist Mother. And if I'm butchering your name right now, or I'm blanking on it. Yeah, I'll have to look up the artist name and share it with you. But she basically said that she creates to be a better mother and she creates to be a better person. And so seemingly within that, like those two sentences, she combined those identities and made it a priority for herself and her mothering.
Yeah.
And even though I hadn't had a child yet, there was this like hope and anchor um, for this kind of new identity that was coming forth. And it was a really powerful kind of message.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Did you always want to be a mom?
no, not at all. And that was like a huge hurdle to get over for sure. I went to high school in Mesa, which is a very Mormon community. My family has like roots in the Mormon church. And like any family kind of within that church, there's the people who are really, really super in it still, and there are the people who are really, really not. And I did not necessarily like grow up within the church because both of my parents left it.
Okay.
But even though, my family, both sides, whether they were in the church or not, were extremely accepting of me, there was still this underlying expectation of motherhood.
Mm.
Um, like, for example, and I didn't think this was weird until I was in college and I told somebody about it, but I would get, uh, as a teenager, like children's books. And within the children's books, they were from my lovely grandparents who are so supportive, but there was a note like for your future family.
Oh. Like it's an expectation that you will have a
Yeah.
future family.
Yeah, and it was like I thought it was sweet at the time. Like I didn't think I would be a mom, but I knew that I would be around children, they're part of our world. So whether that was like me teaching or the community work that I did or something like that. So it was inherent. And naturally it became something that I wanted to rebel against. So
Yeah.
I did not want to be a mother. I had a very difficult relationship as a child with my own mom. And um, I had several mother figures in my life that I had difficult relationships with. And yeah,
Mm.
motherhood was not something that I was expecting to want
Okay. Looking back on
or to
those
love.
relationships now,
Mhm.
knowing what you know, all this healing that you have done that we have yet to even talk about, what do you think about those relationships?
Well, um, so it's interesting with pregnancy, and I have to start there, is because Um, and I've looked a little bit into your work and how important you find like the connection to the body, right?
Yeah.
And there is nothing like pregnancy if you allow it, if it's a blessing, right? If it's something that you
Yeah.
want, to connect you to your body,
Mhm.
because I mean, you're creating life, right? You become this portal, this like, how is that not magical or divine? Like, even if you are a biologist or scientist, there's still things that you don't know
Yeah.
about this process, right? It is mysterious, it is powerful, and you get to go along on this ride with
Yeah.
this new life that's growing inside of you. And it's just fantastic. I mean, it's this fantastic thing that's also filled with nausea and weird bodily things
Yeah, there's some
falling, right?
discomfort there too. I
Yeah.
remember my human
Um,
sexuality class going through it being like, I didn't really want kids before this, and now I definitely don't want kids. I want to be a
oh
fun
yeah.
aunt. That's my goal. I want
Yeah.
I want to be the village.
And the world needs that, right? The world doesn't have that, so we need more people, to join
Yeah.
on
But it is,
that.
it's magical, it's amazing, and, it's also from, like, a body image standpoint, a woman who is pregnant, it's one of the few times where no matter what their body looks like, they're gonna be accepted for it, they're gonna be celebrated for it. There
Yes.
is this shift of, like, yeah, get big, like, people will love it, versus any other time that a woman or, a female-bodied person gets bigger, they kinda get judged or shamed for it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So, yeah, it is this not only, or is it like an insular kind of experience where your world gets smaller. I found that I was every step I took, and I literally walked to work every day to, get ready for that gigantic, momentous experience of birth. But I walked every step alongside my mother, right? Her
Mhm.
mother, every other, like if I saw another pregnant person, it was like suddenly I was part of the human experience in a way
Yeah.
that I had never been before. And that started the healing process.
Like,
And
it was uniquely your experience, but it connected you to everyone else who ever had that experience.
yeah. And then even people, um, yeah, people who probably hadn't, well, I work on a university campus, right? So I also had the fun experience of being super pregnant and walking through crowds of students who would just avoid me and like separate and not
Oh
want
my
to,
gosh.
catch a pregnancy or anything like that. So
Oh my gosh.
on the one hand, there's this honor, there's respect, and then on the other hand, it's like, oh my God, don't look at that
Like,
pregnant
not
baby.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, which is fair. That's exactly what I would have been doing, at 20,
Mhm.
21, 22. I'm sure it's what I did, So, yeah, the healing process with my own mother and the mothers before me definitely started with pregnancy. My birth, like, nothing went according to plan, like,
Mm.
absolutely nothing.
Oh,
We didn't
no.
even have oh my goodness, we didn't even have a bathroom. We were at our friend's wedding when I was in labor, and everyone was having way too much fun. And I didn't tell my husband that I was probably in early labor until
Oh,
it was done, and I could actually call. And the midwife told us, "Yeah, you should probably come back to Phoenix if you want to have this baby here." So yeah, nothing went according to plan, and then instead of the natural birth that I wanted, I ended up in the hospital and I had a C-section. And the recovery from those is no joke. It is not the
oh,
easy
yeah.
way out
I
in
mean, your
any
body
way.
goes through a trauma either way, but you
Mhm.
add, a C-section on top of it, there's so many layers of healing that has to happen.
Literally, I think like 7 layers of flesh have to heal. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but then the very moment, and my mother could not be with me for the birth. My stepmom could, my mom couldn't. Um, But I held my daughter, you know, and then my dad actually came in and I just started crying because as difficult as my relationship was with my mom, I did grow up with my dad, but we were very distant. There was just a lot of things that we both needed to heal from, and we are too similar. So we didn't talk about it. We didn't, there was this space. I hardly, even though he lives maybe 20 minutes, I didn't see him for maybe more than like 2 or 3 times a year before I had my daughter. As soon as he walked in after, Adelaide was removed violently from my body, uh,
Mhm.
there was this just instant feeling where I understood that, the child in me understood that this is how he loves me. He loves me this much. His life was changed instantly. He has done everything he could for me. And maybe it wasn't the best. Of
Mhm.
course it wasn't the best. He was way younger than I was when I had Adelaide, and I was not planned. So it was a completely different experience for him,
Yeah.
And this instant healing was it was profound. And so now He's actually watching my daughter right now. He watches her every Monday
Wow.
and sends me video updates and just all the things. It's the best. So it's
Yeah.
been incredible. And then with my mom, she has struggled with mental illness and also her sexuality, and addiction, and just all of these things that I thankfully haven't had to struggle with as much as her.
Mhm.
So going through postpartum depression and just the postpartum phase, let alone like the crazy hormonal shifts and just
Mhm.
I mean, it feels I would tell people who haven't had kids this, it kind of feels like you're um
Mhm.
being tortured basically because you are awakened by a scream every 1 to 2 hours, right? The first like
Mhm.
4 weeks. So
Yeah.
the disrupted sleep, just all of this, just sets you on edge in a way that it's hard. It's so
Yeah.
so hard. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you know that this being loves you more than anything,
Mhm.
right? They are still a part of you. They need
Mhm.
you. And it's yeah, just imagining my own mother going through this. And
Yeah.
she also had 4 children, so going through it 4 times
Mhm.
with all the struggles that she had, I have empathy that I don't think I ever would have had otherwise. And
Yeah.
I have forgiven her
Mm.
in ways that I didn't think would be possible.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
and she's welcome to
I
come visit anytime.
but maybe some boundaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
mean, that's valid. And I have a lot of clients with kids under 2, and
Mhm.
I have been unintentionally I'm starting to specialize in postnatal work for
Mhm.
mothers and fathers who are just figuring out how to have a baby and raise them. And I don't know if this will ring true for you, but one of the things that we talk about a lot in that space is like this child that has entered your life is a completely different being from you.
Mhm.
And even though there is this connection and there is this love, at the same time, they have no idea what connection and love is in the way that we conceptualize it. And so as they grow, as they develop, like you as a parent have to teach them what that connection is, what that love is. Until then, they're just kind of like I call them like they're like a mushy alien and they don't really know what to do or what any of it means. And that can be really disconnecting in some ways because you're expecting them to show up in the exact same way that you would show up with them. But it isn't. It's so different. Like you as the parent show up so much more than what how your kid can show up for you.
Yeah, I think one thing that helped me a lot was and I don't like, as soon as you get pregnant, like, your algorithm just shows you all the babies and all the things you're supposed to do and think and
Mhm.
want and buy and
Yep,
love.
all the shoulds and expectations.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but also there are these kernels, and I think, it is nice that there is at least a smidgen of a virtual village out there of parents who are just like, "Hey, like, this helped me," you know? And one of the things that I saw was that we are a culture of ease, and there's nothing easy about parenthood.
No.
Nothing at all, right? Every day is a sacrifice in some way. Every day is a heartbreak in some way because every day your little being, this little thing is growing and changing.
Mhm.
And ultimately, right, moving further away from you infinitesimally,
Yeah.
right? And that is heartbreaking and that is hard. But if you can accept that it's going to be hard work,
Mhm.
then that's when the magic starts to happen. So, yeah, like, a friend of mine called the newborn phase the grumpy potato phase
Mhm.
because, they basically just poop and they cry
Yeah.
and they sleep and they don't move. And it's somehow you do nothing all day but that nothing is all consuming and you can do
Yeah.
nothing else but that nothing. So it's a lot of work. But I can tell you I'm at my daughter's 19 months and she can't say I love you or anything like that, but she can say yes and no. So I can ask her, "Do you know that mama loves you?" And she can go, "Uh-huh." And she can snuggle into me and she can
Yeah.
blow kisses and she can do all these things that, yeah, she cannot say, "Mother, I love you with all of my heart," you
Yeah.
know? But there are ways, because I've
Yeah.
learned and I'm still learning to speak her language that she does
Mhm.
express it. And I'm very lucky that I have a child who can emote and express
Yeah.
in that way.
Well, and how different
Because I
from grumpy potato to 19 months.
Yeah. Yes. It's crazy, and she's as giant as, like, a 2.5-year-old, and she's been running for about, I don't know, like 7 or 8 months now, so we're just trying to
Yeah.
keep up,
Well,
honestly,
she's
but
that means she's
she's
finding her
incredible.
independence, she's exploring the world,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
oh, you know, my mind is jumping back to what you said about how, like, you and your different mother figures butted heads a lot. Well, your job as the kid is to find that independence, to figure out your own voice and your authenticity and rebel to a point because that allows you to kind of figure out what works for you. And so if you as a kid you're doing your job right, you're going to drive your parents insane. Because because and, my mom always said this, and a lot of my clients say this of like, "Well, I want my kid to be strong and well-spoken and to be able to stand up for herself," and, like, all these different things. It's like, well, yeah, but if you have a kid who's strong and knows what she wants and stands up for herself, like, she's gonna do that to you as well. And there's this
Yeah.
level of frustration, there's this level of annoyance that comes with that, while at the same time, like, this need to be so proud of your kid for being able to access that. So, whether your parents can do that or not, I'm just gonna say you crushed it. You found yourself, you rebelled when you needed to, and then you figured out was what was authentic for you, and, like, the joy radiates out of you as you're talking about your
Oh.
daughter. Like, I can feel it from here.
Well, she's fantastic, so she makes it easy to love her, and to be fair, I'm only 19 months in, so we'll see where I'm at in, 19 years.
Yeah, we'll check
Um
her rebellious phase and regroup and see how it's going.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So
Okay.
and yes, she is definitely gonna be hard to handle, which, like you said, is awesome. It's a gift within and of itself, so,
Yeah, it's exactly what you want for your kids is that they are hard to handle because they are being themselves.
yes.
But
Yeah.
also hard work. There's a reason I want to be a village. I recognize how much work that takes, and I just want to support others in that sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair.
So I want to bring it back to motherhood and creativity. Because you said that initially, with all the expectations and all the vision of what motherhood was supposed to be, you were basically ready to give this up. But it came back to you and you found this way to merge these identities. How has that happened in practice now that you've had your daughter?
Yeah, so, it's kind of funny. I have been working on a manuscript and a collection, probably it's been close to 10 years now, right? And it is like a mother-daughter collection. Um, and so as soon as I got pregnant, right, that whole project kind of shifted to then become, I went from being the daughter
Mhm.
to becoming the mother.
Mm.
And that, and also forgiving my mother, which made it very important to go back to these pieces and
Yeah.
revisit and rewrite and reframe them, not take away that anger because that anger was valid, right? Not take away the
Mhm.
healing process, but just be more empathetic. So
Yeah.
this whole project came to a screeching halt, and there was a lot of angst there, right? Because I'm like,
Mm.
I have to finish this, before she comes, or else it'll never happen. So there was this huge internalized deadline before I had my daughter. And then I went through this birth that is just the greatest shamanic quest like, known to woman. It is just absolutely wild. And you can tell I'm still processing it 19 months later, but um everything changed, right? Everything changed. I found this strength that I didn't know was possible. You know, it's primal, it's in my bones, it's given to me by every mother before me, it's absorbed by every mother around me or from every mother around me. And I was able to do this impossible thing. So, in the dregs of postpartum, um, because, you know, you have this screaming thing, this lovely, soon to be lovely screaming thing that wakes
Sapping
you
your
up all the
sleep,
time.
sapping your patience.
Yeah, there you know, I wasn't going to sit calmly at a desk with my pen and my journal and do this tactile journal process that I love, but, you know, I have my phone screen. So I typed these postpartum journals, and they ranged from 1 line to, you know, very when she finally would fall asleep, to these very, like, introspective kind of, um, explorations of who I was, because I didn't know. Like, instantly, as soon as she was born, I lost who I was, right? Because I knew I was this other being.
Yeah.
I had literally gone through the fire. I had seen death. I had been cut
Yeah.
open and sewn back together, just all of the things, and I was a new person.
Yeah.
Um, and to find that, yeah, I typed in my phone screen. Like I said, whether that was a line, whether that was these meditative kind of like ramblings, whether it was writing these tiny, tiny poems, um,
Mhm.
you know, it sewed me back together. It sewed my soul back together.
Mm.
It kind of helped me um, place this pain in into the light and just look at it, you know, because if you can identify something, then you can own it, you can grow, you can transform. And um, as like I said, you know, when you get pregnant, your phone shows you all the things. The good things that it showed me was things like Mother Lore magazine and these other mother artists and mother writers that are out in the world. And there was a call for a publication from Mother Lore magazine, and the theme was becoming. So I curated my postpartum journals and I submitted it, you know, at like 3:02 a.m. or whatever it was when I had no sleep. It's a very new mom. I had no expectations, but it was accepted. And it was one of, I think there are about 40 contributors within it. And it was mothers from all over the world. And
Wow.
they were both becoming like myself or unbecoming. And there were stories of miscarriage too. There were stories of empty nesters. There were stories of mothers who lost their children. And there were stories of mothers going through menopause, right? Kind of that unbecoming or
Yeah.
becoming grandmothers and just all of these different phases. So suddenly I was part of this community and being held. And I wasn't, I mean, they're a Bristol based publications. There's no way I could stay up for the writing workshops, you know, attend them, you know, with this
Mhm.
little newborn. There was no way I could go to the launch events, but still there was this connection. It was
Yeah.
strong and it was powerful and it was so, so important.
Mm.
So,
On your website, you use the phrase ecosystem of mothers.
mm.
Is this what that is, of just all of you becoming, unbecoming, every stage of life, every way of being a mother kind of forming together?
I think so. And I don't think it has to be. So, 2 points. I think mothers inherently kind of create these ecosystems.
Mm.
And then they're
Literally.
also yes, literally. And they're also and it doesn't have to be birth mothers. My grandmother, you know, raised me for a large part of my life. I know several people who are foster mothers, right? It doesn't have to be people who have birthed you. But alongside that, like caring is an act of creativity in and of itself. and it's an act of empathy. So suddenly, like, as soon as I got pregnant, I would see, another pregnant person. As soon as I became a mom, and I would see a mom with 2 kids, one's crying, they may be in shambles, but they made it to wherever they were going. They got out of the house, they got dressed, they got fed,
They
and
might
it
be
was just suddenly like,
700 hours of sleep in the deficit and just they're
yeah,
still going.
they're going, and those kids are going too. Yeah, like, of course, the nap schedule doesn't fit into the 9:15 doctor's appointment or whatever they're doing, which is a whole other
Mm.
conversation, but, um, uh, yes, it is like an ecosystem because suddenly, like, I could just see these other moms that I didn't know. When I went back to work, like, which if you work in higher ed, it's mostly women, and a lot of them are mothers, right? So suddenly there was this system of caring where, if my husband, I love him, he's fantastic, he's wonderful, but if he called me and I lost my mind because of my hormones and I spoke too loudly on the phone, there was 3 moms that would come over and not be like, "Hey, Sophia," they'd be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, like, "Sit with
Like,
me, let's
"Tell me
go, let's
about
talk
it.
it
Like,
out."
let's unpack it."
Yeah.
If you wanna hear my horror story of birth, I can share it with you. If not, that's fine, If you wanna tell me what was in your kid's diaper, yeah, like, I'm here.
Yeah.
So,
People who
it
have been in the mess and are ready to meet you in the mess of it all.
and it's always mothers, like, yeah, like, I'm just realizing how supportive, um, the world, the ecosystem of mothers is, whether you know them or not. So,
Yeah.
and that's what's been so amazing with submitting my own work for publication and then also curating these collections is, um, like, you know, just how everybody needs to be held, at some point,
Mm.
how every person who has experienced pregnancy, whether it's gone to full term or not, their brains have literally changed. Of course, their hearts are going to as well. And of course, they have this pain that they're carrying with them and will for the rest of their lives, you
Mm.
know? So it's been just fantastic to meet new
Yeah.
people, meet mothers that I didn't know, to meet new mothers in their moment and actually have something to offer them now
Mhm.
that I'm a whole 19 months in.
Yeah.
Um, or to even be reintroduced to these writers that I knew, but I had no idea were mothers before,
Mhm.
and are now showing up for me in ways that
Wow.
I didn't realize I needed,
Yeah.
So, yes.
As I'm listening to you talk, you said, "I got to shine a light on it. I got to heal, and then I got to witness all of this." So often in expectations and shoulds and have to, shame builds because none of us fit in a box that easily. And I could see the pressure of motherhood, what it should be, how you're supposed to show up, and how much pressure and shame that could create within a mother who doesn't fit in that box, who can't show up exactly perfectly the way all the Instagram reels are saying they're supposed to, or the way that one book said they have to, or else their child isn't going to make it in the world, versus what you're describing, which is shining that light on it and going, hey, actually, all of us are in this mess. It is chaotic, isn't it? How are you surviving? Do you want to know how I survived? It's so different from the shoulds and the have tos. It is freedom. It is authentic. It is saying the mess is a part of it and you don't have to be alone in that mess.
100%. Yeah, 1,000%. Yes. And I think I I want to reiterate, like, I am at a place where I have reconnected with my family. I am at a place where I have so much support. We have, my husband likes to say, a fire line of grandparents. Monday, my dad watches her. Tuesday, his parents watch her, and my grandma. Wednesday, Thursday, I watch her. Friday, we have a nanny. And then the weekends is all us. Like, we have, the whole week she is interacting with her village. Um, And then when I have the bandwidth, she goes to the library and sees these other people because I have that support during the rest of the week for sure. Um, is she, I took her to the Children's Museum and her nose was a mess and she was in just a ridiculous, like, dirty outfit because she'd running around. Her pigtails were all crazy. And she met, another 18-month-old that was absolutely immaculate and clean. And so
Course.
there are these moments of shame, of course, but
Yeah.
I'm also raising more of a feral daughter, and that's okay.
Honestly,
Um,
full support here. We need more
thank you.
feral women.
And then also there has been, I think this is super important and I cannot iterate enough. There has been a cultural shift within the creative communities because even 10 or so years ago when I was, entering the creative community, there weren't there were mothers and there were artists. There were not mother artists. That was not something that was accepted. And, the rhetoric was against, artists against parenthood kind of a thing. And that's what it felt like. And now mother writers, mother artists, like they are having a moment. And there are so many collections of mothers working, right? Mothers being seen, mothers creating, and people actually taking these poems about the tiniest moments, right? Because as a mother, your world is so small and it's so big at the same time. But your world is, the flower that your little kid picked for you, right? Your world is the bubbles in the bath, right? It's so
Yeah.
small, but we
But it's
are
everything.
as this, yeah, but it's everything. It's all encompassing and we are finally honoring that. And we are honoring the creativity that goes into caring for another human being, especially one whose imagination is blooming every single day, who's curious about the world, and who ultimately loves it, no matter, what challenges they may face.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I
Um,
love this so much. I love it because it's the intersectionality of identity. It's not, okay, fine, yeah, be a parent, but don't let it show up in your art. It is, no, you have two identities that are intersecting, and that can build upon each other. That can further your art, further your creativity because your world just got a whole lot bigger.
yeah. And your heart got a lot bigger too in the
Oh,
process.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. And again, the fact that you didn't just experience it, but you're trying to create that space to protect that intersectionality for all the other mother creators who want a chance to thrive in that way.
Yeah, and that was something, that was it was inspired by, Mother Lore magazine for sure, because not only do they do a publication, they also do workshops,
Mhm.
for moms, which is really important. And I am extremely lucky to know a bunch of community workers within the Phoenix community. And one of them is Rosemary Dombrowski, the Phoenix Poet Laureate. She does a million amazing things. And she's also the mother of I believe he's 27-year-old nonverbal son, and who I actually was a caregiver for when I was a wee thing. Um, but she has dove into poetic medicine, and so she runs therapeutic poetry workshops and poetic medicine workshops for caregivers and other vulnerable populations. So we wanted to take the community aspect of like the bookmaking workshops for little somethings, and we wanted to create a space specifically for mothers because although they exist, in the UK and these wonderful places that are much more supportive of families and moms, we didn't really have anything um, in Phoenix in the same way. So she hosted a writing workshop for mothers, and that was fantastic. It was another kind of echo of the entire ecosystem of mothers. There were grandmothers there, new mothers, and Gen Z moms and boomer moms and everybody in between. And the whole point of the workshop was to not just trauma dump in your work because that's the easy part is just you know, getting all that poison out. But in order to keep it out and to not have it, feed further cycles, that trauma, that pain needs to be attached to at least one moment of joy, right? That buoy that
Mm.
carried you through. And it was fantastic because we actually got submissions that are now published in the anthology and in the zine that came from that workshop. Right? They were able to take this kind of, the beginning of these writings and polish them up into something that could be given, right? So you literally get to give away that experience. And then not only that, if it's meant for other mothers and alongside other mothers, it can become kind of the thing that other mothers can hold on to and appreciate and carry with them as they go through their
Yeah.
experiences. And so none of, like I want to stress like this project is not just me. It is Rosemary Dombrowski who led the writing workshop. It's also Ashley Zakowski who led the art workshop, which I would love to talk about too. And it's all the mothers who showed up and made the books. It's all the 500 people who submitted as well. And we had to be super objective and we had to, do the hard work
Say
telling
being the
people
editor is the
no.
hard part when you have to consolidate.
Oh my gosh, it was so hard, and I cannot stress that enough. We had a top 100, and we're like, "We can't publish 100 people," you know? So, yeah, we had a full bunch of help,
Yeah.
um,
That really
and
speaks to the power of this, though, that you had that many submissions that not just were submitted, but were good. That you struggled to choose between. Because sometimes you ask for submissions and then what you get is not the best. Or like I throw stuff out there, and usually what I get back are like Insta ads, or
yeah.
like random people who don't even understand what's happening that are just putting in something completely unrelated, and it's like, "No, that's not what this is for." It's really easy to weed those people out. So the fact that you're sitting there going, "We had to narrow it down to our top 100 and that was still like too many." How beautiful of a community to show up in that way.
Yeah, it was incredible, and it was from all over the world too. So,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, and I can't thank my editors enough either because we had Isabella and Megan helping us out as well.
Yeah.
And Megan's actually a new mom, a brand new mom.
Mm.
So she is
Wow.
in the thick of it with her grumpy potato.
I
Oh,
love it.
adorable grumpy potato. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's, and we're almost done. We have a launch event, which is coming up in a couple weeks, where 10 of the local mothers will be reading. And it's exciting. I was just talking about the pockets of creativity and motherhood. Like I was finishing up these books because the majority of them were almost finished, and they just needed some final touches. So I was doing the final touches either, at nap time at home or during my lunch break at work. And I was traveling around with this jar full of needles and book twine and cardboard. But they are finally finished. They're all sewn. And now it's the exciting part of just, gearing up to hear all of these mothers actually bring the book to life and to share space with everybody. And I'm hoping that a bunch of kids will come and it will be chaotic and fantastic and
I
just
love
ridiculous.
how much you do embrace that chaos. But even though it is probably so stressful at times, you just have this ability to zoom out and be like, what amazing stress I get to have, though. Like, I can feel the gratitude and just the ability for you to see all the layers of life kind of in the moment. Unless that is just you talking to me about it. And that's not true at all, but that's how it's coming
I'm not like
across.
this all the time. Definitely not. But I think like one of the things that I took very seriously when I became pregnant is I want my daughter, and I tell my husband this all the time. I want my daughter to know that it is a blessing to care for her. Not every mother gets to care for their daughter
Yeah.
or son or just child, and I get to do it.
Yeah.
And, my struggle will be not to be a helicopter mom, but it is an absolute blessing to spend time with her and to see her grow and to see her bloom, and then also have myself grow as a mother as well. Because of course, it's easy to lose yourself within motherhood. Of course, it is this all-consuming thing. Um,
But you
but
can't
with
lose yourself
this,
because that's how you get to show up for your kid.
yeah, yeah, it's just never-ending paradoxes, just left and right.
Yeah.
Bittersweet paradoxes, just all
Mhm.
the time. Loving rage, just all of it. So yeah. And I think, and I do want to bring this up as well. I was fortunate enough to be able to get pregnant because my husband and I actually struggled for 2 years, which in the grand scheme of things is not a long time, but
But
we
it's a
are
long
both
time when you're
writers.
actively trying.
Oh, yeah. And we're both writers, so we're like the most neurotic people ever. And so just the fact, tracking the cycles and going through the testing and there is nothing comfortable about the fertility treatments at all. And on top of it, they're stressful. So not only are they uncomfortable, they're stressful and they pull at every fiber of the relationship. You at least like I lost a lot of my physicality and intimacy with my partner, and we're still struggling with that, because on top of being new parents, like we had the fertility stuff to deal with, so nothing has been sexy for a very long
Yeah,
time,
it
right?
stopped being a relationship and started being science.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Science and, like suddenly I'm deep into the Philippa Gregory books, like reading about the queens that are just trying to make a baby because that's their job. And like
Mhm.
and just being, yeah, and I know people who have just never were able to conceive and they're still with their partners. And I want to say props to them. Um,
Mhm.
that is a strength that takes just so much vulnerability and strength,
Yeah.
hand in hand. So,
Yeah.
on top of the people who decide not to have kids, which is a valid decision.
Yeah,
Um,
it's all
you know,
valid because it's what's authentic for you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I want to validate one more thing for you and your story, your life of that. Because not only did you have to go through all those treatments and all the science behind it, you then also had a kid, which completely changes your life and you enter a completely new season. And you had a C-section, which means way longer healing than you had initially planned. I mean, you can barely even stand for the first couple weeks while you're going through it. You can't lift anything, much less a child. Like that is so hard to keep a connection going romantically or intimately with a partner when so much is suddenly happening all at once. And, you know, I'm a couples therapist. So something that I always say, and I remind my partner of this all the time, it was like week one, like date two, we're going to have this conversation is that every single time you go through something different in your life, I picture it as entering a new season, starting a new chapter of a book. You are going to change. You are going to be different. And so in my relationship, our goal, the challenge, quest, if you will, that I've given him is every time one of those new seasons happen, we have to get to know each other all over again. This isn't this is who we met at the beginning, this is who we're always going to be. It's we have to constantly keep getting to know each other and figure
Mm.
out with this new body of just having a kid. Okay, what makes this body tick because it's going to be different. There might be some similarities. There might be some history there that you
Mm.
can fall back on, but you're completely different people with a 19-month-old. And you get to rediscover that together if you want to.
Yes, I love that. That's a great reminder, and um, yeah, I wouldn't. I am a strong, independent mother and woman and all the
Hell yeah.
things, but I am so lucky to be supported by my man. And he has done so well dealing with the postpartum rage. And we've had it's a struggle. It's hard. It is so hard. And
Yeah. Even
yeah,
with a
just like,
village, it is hard.
yeah, yeah, of course. And, just, I don't know how to describe it except like suddenly becoming, because you birth this animal basically, because they're not human for a very long time.
Yeah.
And then you become an animal too. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't speak, right? Words didn't make sense. And I was learning her cries. And so in the midst of all of that and the sleep deprivation and the pain, and you can't take the good stuff to make the pain go away because you're breastfeeding and all this stuff. I had to try to emote to my husband in a logical way. And of course that didn't happen. I yelled and screamed and
Emoting and
um
logical don't really mix. Like emotions
yeah.
aren't logical. They're literally two different parts of your
Yeah.
systems.
And yeah, so I am very lucky to have been supported by him for sure. And he's the romantic one for sure. So he has planned so many dates. He has figured out, our nanny's schedule so that she can, watch the baby while we go see a play or something like that. And it's been fantastic, and we are relearning each other. But again, we have the privilege and the support to do so.
Yeah.
Um, and it's all felt like a blessing, even when it's so hard. So
Well, and bringing back to what you're saying of how like your world is big, but it's so small. It's like this one flower or the bubbles in the bath. The same is true for relationships. It
mm,
doesn't have to be these big grand gestures. It could be these tiny
mm,
stolen moments where you two are just together and
mhm.
being able to recognize it to give meaning to those little moments. It's like the breath of air that keeps you going.
Yes. Yeah. No, that is a good that is a good reminder. And we are extremely ambitious people because we're both writers. So we have our creative goals and yeah, it can be hard. It can be like ships passing in the night. We each have our goals and our things we want to do. And
And
we have
also being
5 minutes.
parents and like, yeah, that's so much to juggle.
Yeah. So
I,
props to anybody out there in a
yeah,
long-term relationship, like let alone parents. So
yeah. Again, just it's so much work and you're constantly learning and growing and changing. Like, props to you. Props to every parent out there. Props to anyone still trying to get to know your partner, even if you have multiple kids. Like, wow, just wow.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's all hard.
Yeah. My brain is squirreling a little. And so I'd like
Mhm.
to go off in that direction if you're okay with it. Because you and I have connected because of Pillow Talk
Mhm.
and Heather Hendry. And I hearing you speak, I'm like, okay, I get why you like this, you're a part of this community as well. A lot of like-minded people of let's destigmatize, let's remind people they're not
Mhm.
alone. Just there's a lot of similar themes between the work you're doing and what the Awfully Hilarious anthology is. In your story, you talk about a man that you
Mhm.
decide to go back to. Is that your current partner? Did you stay together?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Is the couch
Yeah.
gone?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Those are like my two questions that I had about your story. I want everybody to go and hunt it down and read it for themselves. I don't want to give spoilers, but I'm so glad that you got rid of the couch.
Yeah, it had to go. It had to
It
go.
did. For the sake of your happy relationship, it had to go.
Yep. Yeah. I think we're kind of cursed with couches though, because we have this fabulous like mid-century modern-esque couch, but the legs keep breaking off of it. So we are, eventually we'll have a couch that is actually functional and meets all of our needs. But yeah, it it took a while to get there. But yes, I'm glad you brought up Heather and Awfully Hilarious because she actually has been so inspirational as well. I was actually in the period pieces anthology as well. And you were talking about shame earlier in our conversation. And oh my goodness, the way I was introduced to menstruation and and my body and what would happen was horrific. Um, my my stepmother, who had a lot of trauma that I did not know about as a 10-year-old, basically drew ovaries and said, "Do you know what this is? And do you know why people have sex?" And it's like, "To have babies?" And she's like, "No, you are going to be so obsessed with sex. You're going to like basically end up dropping out of high school. Sex is just not going to ruin your
Terrifying.
life. You'll end up just like your parents, like all of these crazy things." And so I have a line in there where I finally started my period and I walked around like there was a bomb about to go off between my legs. Like, just the shame was just so, so great. And I had this story and, I showed it to Jeff because, again, we're both writers, my husband. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, this is so funny. This is so funny. They'll love it." And so I submitted it. And Heather emailed back right away, in her like super bubbly, all caps, like,
Mhm.
fantastic, just genuine way that she communicates like across any platform, which is just amazing.
Literally every
Like,
author she meets, she's like, "You're a genius. This is beautiful. I can't wait." Like, it's just who she is.
yeah. Well, she was like, "The content is right on, but this is so, so sad. Like, could you try to make it funny?" And I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." I was because I'm like, I generally write sad things. So I was like, "Oh man, being funny. Okay." I thought that was funny. So I actually went back and did something very unfunny and I diagrammed the whole story. And I found where I could insert these jokes and, do just change the story and hopefully, resubmit it and have it go over better with editors. And something magical happened where instead of this story being painful and difficult to go back to, it became something I could smile about. It became something where I could tell people and I could wait for their reaction, be like, "Think she told that to a 10-year-old? Like, what is going on?"
Sure.
Right? Instead of this source of shame. Um, and so that completely transformed how I look at writing. And that, it's inseparable from the motherhood anthology where we're saying, yes, like come forward, bring your trauma, but connect it to that joy. It may not be funny, right? We're not quite hilarious, in the way that the Pillow Talk
But it still
collection
bonds
is or
and
anything
builds
like that.
community and normalizes
Yeah.
experiences so that people don't feel alone.
Yes. And what was fantastic was that first Zoom meeting with the Awfully Hilarious folks. I didn't really know what to expect, but it ended up being a therapeutic exercise where we all met, we laughed, we cried. Um, I think they had us like bring a an object from our surroundings that represented our period and talk about it. And it was funny, it
Okay.
was sad, it was like just all the things. And I still am connected to several of the writers in that collection. And it became a community instead of just, a line on a CV or a link on a
Mhm.
website. And yeah, like Heather is fantastic. And I hope to even echo just a little bit what she does like in my projects because
I
yeah,
agree
she's fantastic.
1,000%. I will go full overboard with that 1,000% because every time I interact with Heather, I find motivation again for my creativity. Like if I lose it or I get stuck in the black and white or I get stuck in administrative or I get stuck in my trauma work, I get a note from Heather and I'm like, I have to go write immediately.
Oh, that's
Just
fantastic.
every time.
Yeah. Yeah, so the stories in the Pillow Talk, those are actually like 10-year-old stories that I revisited. So that's why they're like me meeting my husband. or me with an ex from a very long time ago and the
Yeah.
other one. And it's been fantastic to revisit and like, build that joy, see that growth, and kind of, you know, I don't know, see how much we've transformed.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
long story short, yes, that is Jeff.
you've gone through so many seasons. And again, that whole idea of you're completely different people. You have grown and changed so much. So I'm so excited to see what the two of you do next in this
Thank
next
you.
season.
Yeah.
Okay, as we're nearing the end of our time, I want to check in and see if there's anything we didn't talk about that you did want to share or you wanted to make space for.
Yeah, I mean, the the collection, the motherhood collection has been really fantastic, and I do want to talk about Ashley and the art workshop. So, uh, I myself, I like words, and then I also like fiber arts and things like that, and my creative process is completely intertwined, and there's so many, there's not just a linear way to creativity. And so we wanted to honor that as well. And my fantastic friend, super talented artist, Ashley Zakowski, is also a curator and an educator. And so she has curated exhibition of artist mothers called, I think it was Mother World. Yeah, Mother World. And she was a natural partner for this collection. And together we worked to kind of create this interdisciplinary workshop where the first half we looked at the yellow wallpaper, which have you read the yellow wallpaper?
What is it? I was about to ask.
Okay. It is a story by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. It came out in the, I believe, late 1800s. And it's like against the rest cure because she herself was a patient of, this terrible guy who basically said the best thing was to have postpartum mothers just stay home, not connect with their community, not do any intellectual labor of reading or writing, and stay away from their babies because they weren't
Oh,
fit.
I feel like I do know about this. Yes. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so it's a postpartum horror story, essentially.
Mhm.
And so we looked at that, and I had read that as, a lit student, a literary student. I had read that in my classroom of teenagers who had been through all sorts of things, including, adjudication and facing the law, and kind of been also maybe had their own children, so teen moms, all these things. But I had never read it as a mother with other mothers. So we looked at 3 different sections. We created blackout poetry. And then Ashley brought in images of motherhood from art magazines, including the Madonna and just beautiful photographs, Renaissance paintings, all the things, National Geographics. And we created collages with text, with the blackout poems, and then also with the images. And it was fantastic. It was so great. And we had a whole group of mothers who were super excited to be participating in that workshop. And several of those collages are actually in the zine. And then Ashley's work is in the anthology as well. So,
Okay. So how can our listeners find you, find your work, keep up to date on these workshops? Where are you
yeah.
available?
We are on Instagram at Little Somethings Press. And we also have a website, littlesomethingspress.com. And we have a newsletter that I send out when there's something to say. So it's not very often.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Anything else you want to add? I feel like this has been an incredible conversation. I am so grateful you joined me today.
Thank you so much.
I am grateful for Sophia's powerful and unique perspective on becoming mother creators, mother artists. We are more than just one identity, and we don't have to choose. Let yourself be layered and complex and stay authentic as your life shifts and changes. You're not alone in that work, and hopefully something we talked about today resonated with you. If it did, let yourself sit with that idea for just a little bit longer. If you have any questions for this podcast, send us a message on Instagram at Insights With Us Podcast, or send us an email at insightswithus@gmail.com. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to hear more, please follow, like, or subscribe. If you want to support the continuation of this podcast, you can donate. You can support us on Substack and also watch video episodes, or find me, Anastasia Soroka, on buymeacoffee.com. You can find digital downloads on my website, happymindwellness.com. Thank you for being my adventure buddy. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you for creating insight with us.